The United States has permanently lifted decades-long economic sanctions against Sudan. It cites improvement on human rights and progress on counter-terrorism. Back in July, the Trump administration postponed to October 12th, a decision on whether to remove the sanctions completely. Now let's move on to another big story for the day. Le Rencontres Africa has concluded in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. The event saw more than 1,000 economic decision makers come together on a business trip that took companies to Abidjan, Tunis and Nairobi. Now, organized by the French Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs and with the backing of the French Ministry of Economy, the goal was to discuss changing the way things are done in order to create new business opportunities. Nearly 1,500 French and African companies were present in Tunis early this week. Well, let's find out more about this event. Chief Organizer Thierry Dubout is joining us now in the studio. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you.
Now, we know this is the second time this event is taking place. 3 countries involved. What exactly was your aim in setting this up?
Well, our aim in setting this up was to try and create a new ways of progressing in business, meaning that most of these meetings usually are bilateral, meaning the French will come, deal with the Kenyans. In this case, we're dealing with 3 countries, and we also had some other countries join, which means we had over 25 countries, and we know we encouraged people to, for example, they went to France, they went to Abidjan, and we told them, well, send one delegate in Tunis, send one delegate in Nairobi, and perhaps you will find a way to get the whole machine rolling between 3 countries and improve your businesses in the same time. So the idea was to try to do multi-country, multilateral networking.
Just networking, that was the idea behind
Well,
this
it was
event.
the biggest idea, definitely. The idea is to get people to grow their business. That's ultimately why you come to symposium like this.
Right. Now, we know you had government involved in Tunis. Actually, this week, we saw French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe and his Tunisian counterpart, Youssef Chahed, discussing economic opportunities. It took place in Kenya today. So what exactly came out of that conference here in Nairobi?
Well, I'd say your question is a bit early because, well, yeah, maybe you can hear it or see it on my face, but we just finished this afternoon,
right.
So it's a bit early to be drawing conclusions. What I can tell you is that, well, at the beginning we had a goal of approximately 350 people, delegates basically. We had over 1,200 registrations, and we ended up giving 700 badges to delegates. If you can imagine that everybody has at least, which is a low number, 2 to 3 business meetings between whatever country and whatever company they were interested in. That's already 2,100 business meetings. Okay, I agree, they're just meetings, it's networking, then it's another story to sign deals and get the job done. But at least we're trying to create these opportunities.
Now, why did you pick these 3 African countries, Tunisia, Kenya, Cote d'Ivoire? Was this fueled by some growing interest in French companies in these particular countries? What was behind that thought?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, historically, it's been easy for France to develop relationships with West Africa because of the language. It makes sense. And now what happened is, let's be very clear, where is it happening in Africa? It's out here in the east, yeah. So basically, they realized this, and well, with all the political movements, let's say, they've decided that it's long due that we come into East Africa, basically. Yeah? And Tunisia is a bit also about the language and historical, so their ties exist. It's easier to just make them grow. Yeah.
Now, this is quite a unique conference. Certainly, we haven't seen something like very similar to this in Africa for a while. So what next for the event? 2 years running now. What nations will we see you going to next?
Very frankly, it's a little bit too early to say, but what I do think will happen within the next year, we were very happy that you welcomed us here. I think now it's your turn to come to France again. And perhaps there will be other countries that are, how could I say, stand out. But now that Kenya's in the loop, you'll definitely be coming again and doing more business.
Well, many thanks for joining us in the studio and for that update on your conference.
You.
Of course, that was Thierry Dubout. He's a chief organizer with the Les Rencontres event.